Western humanism has focused its energy, a lot of its energy, studying rationalism. Reason and logic are the hallmarks of Western humanism. In Western humanism, so the logic goes, you must be reasoned and logical to be able to properly discern between what is right and what is wrong. And thus, the conclusion has been that reason and logic form the basis of our modern humanist morality. And while the premise is correct, the conclusion is actually incomplete. The main lesson that Western humanists have been learning in the past few years is that our Asian counterparts focus their humanism and their question of what it means to be a good human being on compassion. And you will see this in the philosophies of Buddhism and Confucianism. And when we add compassion to Western humanism, which is focused on reason and logic, it not only helps to complete the morality, the humanist value system, it actually transforms our approach to the philosophy entirely. Because compassion isn't just about caring about other people. It includes a very strong call to action. Compassion isn't just about feeling sorry for people. It's about wanting to ameliorate the problems that those people have. It is a call to action. And this brings us to social activism. Humanism, at its core, is a philosophy of action. Humanism, at its core, is a philosophy of action. A central belief of all humanists is that humans are capable of creating change, and that we therefore have a moral responsibility to make things better. Because we can make things better, we have a moral responsibility to make things better. In fact, humanism holds that human agency is the only reliable way to get things done. You can pray for rain all you want, but if you need water on your field, you better irrigate it. Another important change occurring in organized humanism is therefore that it's reclaiming its sense of agency. Humanism in America, organized humanism in America, has been a philosophic discussion club for a really long time, and we're now reclaiming our sense of compassion and the sense of action that goes with compassion. In order to be a truly moral person, you need to act on your reason and compassion together. A failure to act on your values is a failure in your morality. And this is why I feel very strongly that a well-rounded humanism at this point in our development as human beings and our knowledge is about putting reason and compassion into action. And when we embrace this truth, we create a much more vibrant understanding of our place in the universe as human beings. What does this mean for the future? The first thing is that humanist groups are growing. It might surprise you to know that in Norway, a country of just 4 million people, there are 70,000 recognized humanists. They have clubs all across the country. A recent study in Britain showed that 36% of all Britons are humanist in their values and their activities, even if they self-identify as Christian. When you ask them about the important things that are the core basis of humanist morality and humanist values, they are humanists. They are identical to humanists. And that's 17 million people in Britain alone. Right? Humanism is not, even though a lot of people don't call themselves humanists, humanism is not some fringe philosophy. It is a dominant force in our society in terms of how individuals think of themselves, think about their role in society, and think about their obligations and responsibility to the societies in which they live. Humanist groups everywhere are increasing their engagement in civil society. They're forming lobbying organizations in the United United States. The AHA, the American Humanist Association, the Secular Coalition of America, the Council for Secular Humanism, all have lobbying organizations now in Washington. They're creating and distributing their own media. They're organizing disaster relief efforts. They're opening schools. And, 5 years ago, none of that was happening. And you might be surprised to find out that Florida is on the forefront of these changes in organized humanism. And so I want to talk a little bit about what's happening in Florida and about the humanists of Florida, what it is we're doing that actually is pretty revolutionary in the realm of organized humanism. Our mission is to promote freedom and democracy by inspiring people to use reason and science to create a more compassionate society. And as I said before, our main focal issues are democracy, science, education, and community. Humanists are dedicated to democracy as an ethical form of government that not only allows for individual freedom, but also promotes personal responsibility. And humanists love that. Personal freedom, individual responsibility. Our work on behalf of democracy at the Humanists of Florida focuses on two main areas. First, we're obviously promoting democracy over other forms of government, such as democracy, through the defense of the First Amendment. We also like to promote ethical government. And specific projects we've taken on include the Florida Progressive Information Network, and I have flyers for it if you wanted to learn more of that. The Florida Progressive Information Network is a network of groups and individuals that are progressive. And the goal is to create real political change in Florida. Like, really change the tide of the political debate in Florida. And this project is being embraced by groups around the state and actually is receiving a lot of attention by national foundations. In fact, I just got a grant from one. I didn't even apply for it. They just liked the project that much, which is always nice. We've hosted First Amendment rallies, and we're actually in the process of organizing a statewide multi-group effort to popularize the First Amendment in Florida over the next couple of years. And we're working with the ACLU, the Florida Consumer Action Network, and other groups to do this. We've held rallies to promote democracy, not theocracy, in order to counter people like the Reverend Kennedy of the Coral Ridge Ministries, who's a theocrat. And one of our local groups actually hosted a candidate debate a couple of years ago up in Placanta. And it was the first debate of the season, and all the candidates came out to explain why, they're humanists, or their values are humanists, and why we should vote for them. So, there's a lot of stuff going on there. And Florida humanists are pushing it along.